The day Samantha was taken, I felt helpless, terrified, heartbroken. And there was a family over 30 years ago with 5 children, and the father was apparently a very abusive alcoholic and would especially beat up the boys. And one day, the oldest son ran out of the house to the police station and begged them to come and help because he thought his father was going to kill his little brothers. So the police responded, and the police report said that the boys had definitely been badly beaten. The house was disgusting. Apparently there was mold growing on the kitchen counters. But the most disturbing thing in the report was that there was the holding cell. And the children said they'd sometimes be locked in there for days at a time. So the officer took all 5 children out of the house, but the family kept going back. They kept begging and pleading with them to return their children, and within a week, all of those children were returned to that house. And in all of the years that those kids were going to school with bruises, broken bones, getting more and more violent towards each other and others, no one ever reported that those kids might be in danger of abuse. And the youngest son in that family grew up and he murdered my daughter. It doesn't excuse what he did, but the point is that monsters don't appear out of nowhere. And if we want to protect our children, we have got to do a better job of protecting all of our children. My last time seeing her was putting her to bed the night before, and she was so sweet. She had this thing at bedtime where she'd reach up and touch my face and say, "Sweet, lovely mama, I love you." And that was my last moment with her. And then the next day after work, I called home. My mother was watching the children, and I asked if it would be all right if I went to the gym. And she said, absolutely, they're having a great day. Samantha and Sarah have been playing all day. And I went to the gym. And as soon as I went out to the equipment, I just had this inexplicable, paralysis. Finally, I was like, never mind. And I went back to the locker, I changed my clothes, and as I was walking out, I checked my phone, and I had a dozen messages from my mom and my husband saying that Samantha had been taken. So I called, and they confirmed it. The sheriff's department had already responded. There were helicopters in the air already. But then I had to drive the 30 miles home. Tears just pouring down my face and trying to not crash. And I remember thinking that she was headed to the mountains. I don't know why, but I thought about following that instinct, and I thought, well, what do I do when I get there? The world's so big when you're trying to find a 40-pound 5-year-old. Over the course of the next 24 hours, we didn't sleep, but that very next day, Samantha was found. Apparently, after I got off the phone with my mother, about 5 minutes later, Samantha asked if she could be excused from the table, and she and Sarah grabbed their board game and ran back outside. A car pulled around, and he stopped his car, he got out, and he threw her in the car. And she was found the very next day, about 23 hours later, about 60 miles away off the Ortega Highway in the National Forest on a hiking trail. She had been sexually assaulted and murdered. It's like all of the air left me, and yet I was still breathing. I felt like I was underwater for weeks, if not months, really. Shock is a powerful thing. I was amazed by the public's response to Samantha, and I had to create some purpose out of the senselessness of it. The night that Samantha went missing, my husband went on to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website. And the more that I learned about crimes against children, the more I was like, it's not about why me, why my baby. It's why is this happening to anybody? Why 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 7 to 10 boys are sexually abused before the age of 18? It's pandemic. So that really was the catalyst to making me start to think that I couldn't believe that these crimes were that common and that there wasn't already a national movement to better protect children. Well, we are now 15 years. This is our 15th anniversary. The Joyful Child Foundation is dedicated to preventing crimes against children through programs that educate and empower and unite families and communities. And the main way that we do that is through the Brave Initiative. And it really comes from this moment I finally had the strength to go out and say something to all of these people who were coming to hold vigil for her. And I said to them, it shouldn't take a tragedy to unite a community to protect its children. Although I didn't come to this cause by choice, there is nothing more fulfilling or beautiful that I feel like I could possibly do with my life. So that every child knows that if anybody tries to hurt them, it's not okay. Their whole community says it's not okay. Be brave, be safe, be ready by planning ahead, be aware of your surroundings, be victorious and stand up for yourself, and be empowered to stop violence. And that's what we teach children, that there's nobody like them in this whole world, and keeping them safe is the most important thing that we can do. She had an enthusiasm for every single day, and that's what I want every child to grow up with. So when she was taken, every child became the joyful child. The symbol of the Joyful Child Foundation, our logo, is a red and yellow sunflower, because the year that she was taken, we had planted sunflowers, but none of them had bloomed. And the day after she died, I walked out onto our little patio, and there was a fully grown, huge stalk with 10 fully opened red and yellow sunflowers. And we had only planted yellow sunflowers. And her favorite color was red. And so it was like a kiss. It was like, I'm okay.